everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of my F1 2016 Toro Rosso career mode, guys. Episode 49 now of the series. Next week will be episode 50, guys. And today we are here at the Mexican Grand Prix. Not too sure, really. I say this far too often, I think. Not too sure how well this Toro Rosso will fare. Obviously, it's basically just one big straight at this track that will absolutely dominate this Grand Prix. So anyone with good straight line speed should be pretty damn safe here today. But also Lewis Hamilton can wrap up the World Championship, I'm pretty certain, at this Grand Prix if he gets a good showing, obviously, at this Mexican race. Obviously, he'll have to beat his teammate to get the points advantage over him. Not too sure how big exactly the gap is, guys, but if you're new around here, don't forget to like, subscribe for more of my F1 2016 Toro Rosso career mode, guys. We're also closing in very, very close to 700 subscribers now, guys, so if you could help me hit that, that would be massively, massively appreciated, guys. We could just see on the little graphic, Force India have just applied a couple of upgrades on their car, but let's move on then into free practice. Succeed straight away into my track acclimatization lap. We've actually got one red there, absolutely completely bottled one of the corners in the middle sector, just ran hugely, hugely wide through it, but coming then up towards the line, round this final swooping right-hander of the final corner, and we go across the line, and we only unfortunately go green there, guys, which will only obviously be worth the 30 R&D points. But now moving on then into my qualifying simulations, as you can see, we're already over a second up on it. We just seem to be able to push this Toro Rosso incredibly well in these qualifying simulations, but all the other cars seem to go far quicker than the team would ever expect them to do so. Coming then on into the final corner once again here, just got to try and make sure we absolutely maximise our run, get as close to that curb as we possibly can, up towards the line. We managed to obviously absolutely smash that lap time there, get the full 50 R&D points from that, and that will be very, very useful. Moving on then into the R&D overall tally. Now, obviously, we're just trying to gain as many points as we can. Only 2 races to go, obviously, after this one, before we start Season 2, and obviously we'll get that huge, well, I'm hoping it'll be an absolutely huge bonus on the car, ready, obviously, for Season 4 as such, and we're up to 1,732 points now. So, very, very good tally. There should already be sort of 2-3 upgrades on the car, 2-3 big upgrades, you know, sort of 3-4 smaller upgrades. Let's move on then into qualifying. In Q1 was a very simple affair, as you can see, come around the final corner already. You know, not really too much happened. Nico Rosberg's already on the pole, but coming up towards the line, we go up into P1 there. We actually go pole position there in Q1, but unfortunately it doesn't last. As you can see, Grosjean tops the timing sheet ahead of Nico Hülkenberg. So Haas really have got a good package there ready into this Grand Prix. We going up into P13, just behind Max Verstappen there. But obviously he's only set the soft tyres, but you know, got into Q2 fairly easily there. You know, no big surprises for myself. But now moving on then into Q2 here, guys. Obviously we need to get quite a good lap in just to safely get into Q3. You know, we don't want to have to be doing 2 stints on these sets of the super soft tyres, obviously in qualifying. You know, you want to get as good tyre wear as you possibly can, ready for the race. But come around the final corner, up towards the line, and we go into pole position once again there, guys, which by the end of the session had converted into P6 there, behind Max Verstappen, Nico Rosberg, Daniel Ricciardo, Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, just ahead of Kimi Raikkonen there. So, you know, we're breaking into the top 6 there, with Sergio Perez, Fernando Alonso, Romain Grosjean all getting into Q3 there. So we've actually seen there 7 teams have been able to get to Q3. Obviously we saw the big 3, and then 4 other teams managed to get their drivers in. But now moving on then into Q3 here, as you can see, coming up towards the line, we are going to go up into P3 there, behind Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg, so splitting everyone else. But you see, by the end of the session, they're up in P5 there, a very, very good result from myself, just behind both Mercedes and both Red Bulls, actually getting ahead of both Ferraris there, so having an incredibly good pace here. As you can see, Lewis Hamilton edged out his teammate by that 8 thousandths of a second, and then 41 thousandths over Max Verstappen there. So it's looking very, very tight, like it's going to be sort of a duel between the Red Bulls and the Mercedes here today at the Mexican Grand Prix, guys. But let's move on then into the race.
May have been absent from Mexico for 23 years, but after 2015's triumphant return, it was as if we'd never been away. In Mexico, a Grand Prix is more than just a race. It's a celebration of speed and of bravery. There's nothing quite like the atmosphere in the stadium today. They'll be drowning out the cars with their noise as they make their way through on lap 1. At 2,285 metres above sea level, the thin air of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez poses a unique challenge, not just to a driver's skill, but to the efficiency of their engines as well. 17 corners make up a lap of this 2.6-mile circuit, and you can expect incredible speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and overtaking too into the hard braking zones of turns 1 and turn 4. And joining me amongst the cheers of the phenomenal Mexican fans, it's Anthony Davidson. And welcome along to this historic circuit. What an occasion this is.
Yeah, it's hard to believe when you see the passion this country has for the sport that Formula One was away from Mexico for so long. It's fantastic to be here, and let's hope that the race lives up to the party atmosphere we've got going. It's a real fast track, this. We get up to Monza levels of speed down the main straight thanks to the high altitude here at over 2,000 metres above sea level. And with that comes the challenge of having less downforce in the corners. So that makes it a really demanding circuit, both for the drivers and engineers.
You're above where we expected on the grid. Be careful not to lose places, as there will be faster cars around you.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, with Nico Rosberg alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Ricciardo, a Toro Rosso, and Vettel, Raikkonen, Perez, Grosjean, and Fernando Alonso, Hülkenberg, Bottas, Jenson Button, and Ericsson, Gutierrez, Massa, Felipe Nasser, and Daniel Kvyat, Magnussen, and Palmer, Pascal Wehrlein, and Rio Haryanto completes the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So here we are then, guys, on the grid, ready for the Mexican Grand Prix. A very, very successful qualifying for myself. Will mean, unfortunately, though, we are locked into the tyre strategy. Obviously, the super softs to the soft tyres, obviously, guys. Very little logic in doing a two-stop strategy, unless, obviously, you know, we see a safety car pairing and whatnot. But let's move on then into the formation lap. P5 on the grid, ready for the Mexican Grand Prix. Let's just skip over the formation lap as quickly as we possibly can there, guys. And let's move on then into this Mexican Grand Prix. Obviously, into turn 1, such a long run down into the corner. You know, we've got to hope that we can absolutely maximise our run down this long front straight. If we get a good start, we should be able to do that. But here we are then. The lights are coming on for the Mexican Grand Prix. 5 lights, and away we go. As you can see, Daniel Ricciardo actually gets off to an incredibly good start there. He's going to try and pull alongside Max Verstappen as both Nico Rosberg and him make a charge up the inside towards turn 1. Sebastian Vettel trying to pull alongside me. I think that's Kimi Raikkonen as well, trying to make it 3 wide. They're going 3 wide just ahead of me there. Up into turn 1, we have to hold it around the outside of Force India there as well. You see, we then end up on the inside of Nico Rosberg there, but unfortunately he's going to be able to hold on to it. Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo have made contact there in the Red Bulls, and no idea what's happened to them, but Daniel Ricciardo then facing the wall. We've already got an orange front wing there, but the safety car has been deployed, and that has worked out very, very well for myself. We're actually going to try and go for the undercut strategy on the AI there, guys. Obviously, with that front wing damage as well, I see very little reason in staying out. Obviously, if we can try and get these set of mediums to the end of the Grand Prix, it's going to be a very, very difficult challenge, though, if we are able to do that. But let's just have a look then. Coming into the pit lane here, obviously, at the end of lap 1, obviously moving on to a set of the medium tyres. With a front wing change as well, you know, it's not going to be the most blissful of pit stops. We're probably going to come out sort of, you know, P21, P22. I don't know whether Daniel Ricciardo is obviously going to come into the pit lane as well. But let's just have a look. As you see, there's a couple more drivers down in the pits as well. I think that might actually be the Red Bull of Daniel Ricciardo there. So Toro Rosso and Red Bull, sort of that little family, not having the best of starts there, guys. We're now having to change the front wing incredibly slowly there by the team. You know, an 8.7 second pit stop there. Not really what we wanted, and we're already down into last place here. But obviously we're on a set of the medium tyres, doing exactly the same as Sebastian Vettel has chose to do. You know, sorry, Daniel Ricciardo has chose to do, as you can see. But now moving on then to the end of the safety car period. Kimi Raikkonen also opted to come into the pit lane to move on to a set of the medium tyres there. So very, very interesting strategy call there by Ferrari to basically push him out back into last place here. But coming on then onto the end of the safety car period. The safety car is in this lap and it's yellow flags, and we have absolutely bottled this safety car restart. Just nowhere near the rear of Fernando Alonso there. Kimi Raikkonen nowhere near the rear of me either, so no idea what's really happened there. Just a huge miscommunication error. I just wasn't thinking, you know, that we got to get ready for the end of the safety car. But you see, now following on Fernando Alonso, we go for a very, very late dive bomb there. He already turns into the corner, but we get the front wheel up the inside there, and we move up into P20 now of the Grand Prix. Now right behind Daniel Ricciardo, who I'm kind of hoping, you know, for Season 4 might be my teammate, but I wonder if Red Bull will give us a contract of. See, coming to the end of lap 6, Sebastian Vettel already throwing it back into the pit lane there, guys. As you can see, now right behind Daniel Ricciardo here in the sister Red Bull. Kimi Raikkonen also closing in on me, guys, in the rearview mirror. But are we going to be able to make a move on Daniel Ricciardo? We get the slipstream, we get the toe on him, and we move up the inside towards turn 1. He shouldn't be able to hassle me into turn 1 there, guys. You can see moving up into P15 of the race. You can see there's a couple of Manners and a Haas there going very, very feisty with each other. Sorry, it's not Haas. It's Jolyon Palmer there. As you can see, a couple more AI of Pascal Wehrlein and my teammate Danny Kvyat get an absolute terrible run out of turn 4 there, guys. Now we're going to be able to make a move up the inside. We unfortunately just tap into the back of my teammate Daniel Kvyat there. You know, he just broke a little bit earlier than I was expecting. We kind of got penned in thanks to Pascal Wehrlein. But now we're going to be able to move up the inside, up to P13 here, guys. And, you know, Kevin Magnussen is just inside the points there. So, you know, we're not too far away from it at the moment. Obviously, you know, if we do end up having to make another pit stop as well, this is basically our net position at this stage of the Grand Prix. You can see Kevin Magnussen throws it into the pit lane now then, guys. And we should be up now into the points. As you can see, I'm into P7. Obviously, we've got Rio Haryanto going for a move on Jolyon Palmer here. That means we're going to have the double toe on them both. What speed are we going to be able to hit down towards turn 1? 226.7 miles an hour. They're 228. As we look around the outside of both Jolyon Palmer and Rio Haryanto there. Are we going to be able to make the position stick? Yes, we do. And an absolutely incredible double overtake there around the outside into the first corner there. An absolutely incredible move. As you can see now on the start of, well, sorry, the end of lap 9 here, as you can see, we're now up into the lead as the last couple of drivers made their final pit stops here. But we're actually going to decide to come into the pits at the end of lap 9 here, you know. We don't really think these medium tyres will get to the end of the Grand Prix. We also don't want to push them that much. So we're going to move on to a set of the super soft tyres here, guys. Obviously, we're going to have the pace advantage over everyone else on track at this moment of the Grand Prix here, as you can see. But moving on then into a set of the super soft tyres, I consider getting the front wing changed, but you know there was quite a lot of aero still on the car, so you know I was kind of a bit sceptical about doing so. You know, it was a lot of time that we'd end up wasting. But now moving on, as you can see, coming out the pit lane, we're going to be down into P15, down into P16 now, as Esteban Gutierrez and then just Felipe Massa and Kevin Magnussen both flying past me there, and down into P18 we go. Ahead of my teammate though, a little bit, you know, critically. Obviously the teammate challenge really isn't too going well for him at this moment of the season. You know, we've massively outscored him. We've only been here for half the Grand Prix he has been. But let's just have a look then. Following on from Kevin Magnussen, are we going to be able to make a move up the inside into turn 4 here, guys? We're actually going to have a look at it. And are we going to be able to make the move? We go for a very, very late dive bomb. We should just see how much extra grip we have on these set of super softs over the set of the obviously the older and more worn soft tyres here, guys. And next up on my hit list will be Felipe Massa, as we take a beautiful double apex there through turn 7 and through turn 8. But as you can see, just following on Felipe Massa through this middle sector, as you can just see, pushing these super softs to the absolute limits. We get an incredibly good run around the next corner, up the inside into the next right hander. We move up into P16 now of the Grand Prix, and next up will be Esteban Gutierrez at his home Grand Prix. Obviously Esteban would have probably been hoping, you know, for a better day than it's been so far, you know, languishing down in P15 at this moment. Also his teammates actually having a very, very good day out. But as you can see, Nico Rosberg goes purple there on his new set of medium tyres here. I think he's actually on a set of softs even. As you can see, just following on Esteban Gutierrez now. Are we going to be able to get a good run down towards turn 1 here? Obviously, we will have the DRS. We do have the slipstream as well. And now deploying that DRS, are we going to be able to make a move up the inside? We look side by side with him. And it's, you know, a fairly textbook move there, guys. You know, nothing really too much to worry about there. As we move now back up into P15 of the Grand Prix. And there's just the Saubers now just headed. As you can see, half a lap later, we've already managed to catch those two up. As you can see, moving on then into Sector 2, are we going to be able to make a move on my old teammate of Marcus Ericsson? They do exactly what we did to Felipe Massa the lap before. Move up the inside. They're running a little bit wide through the next couple of corners, but we move now back up into P14 now of the Grand Prix. And next up is obviously the man that replaced me at Sauber, Felipe Nasr there, guys. As you can see, we also go purple there on the start of lap 12 there, actually setting a new lap record for this Mexican track there, you know, so we got a little bit of a claim to fame there, but straight around the outside of Felipe Nasr there, you know, just a fairly easy move. You know, a lot of these guys don't really want to run two top speed setups. A lot of teams actually focused on the middle sector here, guys. But now, as you can see, moving on to lap 17 now, a lot further on into this Grand Prix. There's a huge train of cars just up ahead of me, you know. I'm hoping, you know, we can get past these. These extend, you know, up to sort of P5, P6 of this race. You can see there's an absolutely huge pile of cars here. And we move straight at the inside of Jenson Button there, up into P12 now of the Grand Prix. And next up are both Ferraris here. As you can see, Kimi Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian Vettel marking the borderline of who is in the points here. As you can see, just trying to maximise our run on these set of super soft tyres. You know, they're really graining quite badly now As you can see, just the lack of grip we seem to have now. As you can see, absolutely maximising our run there, cutting the corner ever so slightly. Are we going to be able to make a move up the inside of Kimi Räikkönen? We switch back on him. Are we going to be able to make a move up the inside into the stadium section? Yes, we do. A fairly easy move there, you know. The AI can't really defend much again around the outside into a lot of corners on this game. And now it's just a case of whether we can catch Sebastian Vettel down towards turn 1 on this final lap of the Grand Prix. But you can just see, skipping on then towards the end of the race. And unfortunately, you know, the tyre up and above the 70% here, guys. Not really what we wanted. And unfortunately, we weren't able to get the maximum amount of grip from the car on this final lap. But P11 in the Grand Prix there. Nico Rosberg closes down points on his teammate Lewis Hamilton. So Lewis Hamilton will have to wait to Brazil now to hopefully win this world title. But you see, coming up towards the line, P11 there in the Mexican Grand Prix there. Not a great result, I won't lie, guys. You know, we want to be scoring points consistently here. And unfortunately, just today wasn't our day. Obviously, we had a couple of little issues with the front wing there, guys. But, you know, just not really what we wanted to see today.
Anthony, what do you think made the difference here?
Well, I think the track conditions just really suited their car today. Wind, track temperature, you name it. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature. So the more easily you can keep them there, the better your race tends to go. And that's exactly what happened. Their car just looks so comfortable out there.
And here are our podium drivers today after that excellent race. They've excelled here, as they so often do, and it's a well-deserved victory. Mercedes, then, are on top today.
But there we are then, guys. Nico Rosberg manages to close down 13 points the gap between himself and his teammate Lewis Hamilton, as Nico Rosberg takes the Grand Prix victory ahead of Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo, and there is Lewis Hamilton still leading the championship, still looking like it's basically his championship to win at this stage of the season. But Romain Grosjean there, he was what was causing this huge pile-up into the final stage of the race. As you can see, he actually managed to take home 10 points there for Haas with an incredible P5, with Fernando Alonso also having a very good showing up in P6 there. Valtteri Bottas 7th. Sergio Perez scoring 4 valuable points for his team at his home Grand Prix, with Nico Hülkenberg 9th, Sebastian Vettel just in the top 10 there, and myself, unfortunately, there, you know, just missing out. With Jenson Button up in P11, I'm going to take it. Kimi Räikkönen is down in P12. Jenson Button obviously managed to get a move on him in these final couple of corners of the race. Esteban Gutierrez there, you know, not a very solid day out for himself, down in P14, but ahead of Felipe Massa, Marcus Ericsson, Felipe Nasr, my teammate Danny Kvyat having an absolutely terrible day out, with Kevin Magnussen, Jolyon Palmer, Rio Haryanto, and Pascal Wehrlein rounding out the grid there, guys. You can see, just having a look at the constructors' standings now, the gap is down to, I think that's 35 points there now in these standings, with the Ferraris basically, you know, cementing 3rd and 4th, Red Bull basically cementing 5th and 6th there, as we're just 10 points, I think it's less than 10 points, sorry, behind Valtteri Bottas. Unfortunately, I can't see it perfectly there on the small screen there, as we've got Fernando Alonso and Jenson Button closing in on me as well. So we could see a 3-horse fight into the last couple of Grand Prix of the season, guys. But as I always say, guys, hopefully you did enjoy this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you are new around here, guys. As I said at the start, hoping, you know, to be closing down on 700 subscribers. And I'm hoping with you here now, guys, we should be one step closer to that goal. But thank you for watching, and goodbye.
It's a promise that you'll catch me.